The worst thing that I did to a rapist in prison. First and foremost, like I always say, I don't come on here to brag or try to look tough because I'm not. Yet my hatred for pedophiles, child molesters, rapists, woman beaters, just all those coward piece of shits is beyond understanding. As I grew up in a household where I seen it and I couldn't do anything about it at a young age. And when you call the system, they treat the kids like y'all are criminals. The way the system works is a kid will tell you everything that's going on and they'll pressure them, scare them, and then they might say, oh no, I don't know. Then they'll say, that's a story, we're sticking to it. And the kid gets hurt and abused for years. I've seen it happen to a family member of mine. So not everybody gets to get the revenge. Some people don't believe in it. Well, I do. In prison, I use that time to become the best version of myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yet, that little boy in me, that young kid that was defenseless, watching people he loved get hurt, watches the system just doesn't give a fuck, takes the good people away, brings the bad people closer to the little kids. That never left. So while I was in prison, I had my eye on this dude. He was a neighbor to a close friend of mine. His name was Rolando. He was the worst of the worst. And the type that strangles every girlfriend he has because he's so insecure. The type that follows him around, stalks him, just weak coward. And it's not because he's a cheater or he's this player and he's just subconsciously guilty. No, it's because he can't get anything. So when he does get something, he tries to hurt it and kill it so it will never run away from him once they realize what kind of coward he is. But it didn't just stop with the women. We were young. We'd ride bikes. He had the nickname of the Bad Man. Our friend confessed that, one day he was doing yard work there. His dad got him a job cleaning his yard and dude exposed himself to him. Now, what the fuck? He told his dad. His dad went to the police. They didn't arrest him. They didn't even put an injunction on him. They said my friend was too young. The dad was going crazy, man. I remember seeing him just he couldn't believe it. He tried everything. They just didn't give a fuck. So again, something happened. I don't really know, but it was bad. He calls the cops. He says, my son is saying something more. I'm not going to even ruin the investigation because last time you guys said I can't speak around him. Send a specialist. They had an open case for over 2 years, and that dude lived right there. Dad just couldn't bring himself to murk the guy because he was a single father. And he said, if I do that, then what? What else is going to happen to my son? So he moved. But that never left. Distance doesn't change emotions. I moved shortly after, and my home was just beyond fucked up, And the places I lived, getting in trouble, going into institutions where you're in these youth offender camps where you give sick correction officers the power over young men. I got charged as an adult, direct filed. You're seeing heinous shit. Officers will molest some of the younger inmates that are defenseless. They'll pin us against each other, make us fight. Real heinous shit. They describe it like it's military structure, a boot camp. Nah, this turned us into animals. So you fast forward, I'm 22, I get my time. I'm not coming home till I turn 29 years old in state prison. That hate, that rage is amplified, and it's never left. It's just as I matured and know thyself, I learned how to project it, where to send it, how to use it to better myself, to protect my son and many other kids. While I'm in prison, immediately I was in trouble. And not trouble for being a smartass. I didn't fuck with the drugs. I wasn't trying to be all cool. I just refused to be a victim. And where I was at, extortion, stabbings, murder, rape, crooked COs, that was just part of everyday existence in there. From ACI to Washington, CI to Home CI, Franklin, Jackson, Lake Butler, they had me all over the panhandle. I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't think I was ever going home. The chance I could get, whether it was a school shooter, whether it was a rapist, a chomo, a dude that strangled a pregnant woman, I was going after them, marking them, beating them. And like I said, I wasn't doing it because I was tough. I got finally to become a person I never was, clear, minded, focused, in shape, reading, studying, but not just here and there. I became disciplined, spiritual. I studied the Bible from the beginning to the end, and an eye for an eye spoke to me more than anything. And, being on CM in disciplinary confinement, it wouldn't matter if somebody asked me for a cup of coffee. I would feel like they were perpetrators, they were predators, and I would do whatever, just violence, explosive violence. And child molesters, whoever it was, rapists, pedophiles, would actively pursue them. I wasn't that little boy anymore that had to watch and not be able to do anything, that sat there powerless while my family members and friends were being hurt, and they were getting away with it over and over. And the people that were protecting us got taken out of our lives for reporting it. So one day I get a kite from an officer, a little written letter basically, and he tells me that somebody I'm familiar with wants to get in touch with me. Life's a trip, how this works. The father of my friend, I'm not gonna put their names out there, ended up moving in this area of this prison I'm in after they left. He came and visited me. When he visited me, I just embraced him, I hugged him, because I've seen it all now. I couldn't imagine how he felt and still feels. He told me about everything, about his son, my best friend, everything like that. He told me he killed himself. He could never get over that shit, overdosed on purpose. Said they made a life out here, but he was never the same. He never came back from what that man did to him. He told me that the officer that I talked to was a close friend of his family. Talked to him some more. He put $500 or so on my books. He left. I understood the mission. At this time, I was reading a book called The Human Condition. And the quote that always stuck with me from that book was, the most radical revolutionary will become so conservative the day after the revolution. I will never sacrifice my beliefs. I must protect the kids. I don't know if I compartmentalized or subconsciously the inner child in me knew that I had the power now. So I talked to the officer, and he told me that they're gonna put 4 or 5 chomos in the protective cells in our unit. Now the way it's set up in Florida, at least the prison I was at and most prisons that I were at, whether you're in CM, disciplinary confinement, they don't give them PC. They might say, hey, they can only come out of the cell when certain people aren't out, but most of the time, they're right there getting their heads chopped off and general population killed in the cell by their cellmates on purpose. I don't have a special wing for them at all. He told me one of them is the dude that molested your best friend when you were a child. My friend's dad who came to see me. He explained how tight they were, and he said, he mentioned you and how close y'all were, and your dad, and rest in peace to your dad. We just talked a lot, man, and it was heartbreaking to know that this motherfucker had enough power over somebody that I considered a brother, my first real friend, to make him kill himself. I asked him why they're doing 4. He goes, I don't fucking know. These dudes are getting killed, stabbed everywhere they go. Shit's been crazy. They make up 30% of the prison population and 70% of the prison murders. So the day comes, they move them all into our unit, and we're all ready. Everyone's on CM, disciplinary confinement. It's a mix of everything. Some dudes are just high custody doing their time with no restrictions. It's a madhouse. You got every organization, kites everywhere, fishing lines, passing letters, hits are being placed. Come up with a plan. I talked to one of my best friends in the world, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash ended up killing himself later on. He was doing 15 years for a manslaughter, and then he got some more time during a fight where he slammed the guy's head on the corner of a bunk. But he hated those motherfuckers probably worse than I did. And we got about 3 or 4 dudes together, some Southsiders, so they added some of their people, and it just grew. And we were gonna do a full-on assault, a clean house on all 4 of them. But I needed to be known that I'm going to get my hands on this piece of shit that hurt my best friend. So being in such a high custody unit, everything we do is so secretive. The letters are written in piss, secret ink. You gotta hold flame to it so it'll light up the ammonia once it dries, and we start coming up with a plan.